Here's a question with Aspinall. What happens with Aspinall in the second round? If you want to talk about a guy who sprints, you want to talk about a guy who's fast, one of the fastest heavyweights, he might be the fate in the history of the sport. I don't think anybody moves like that guy does. He beat everybody else's ass too. All the other heavyweights, ragdoll dudes way bigger than him. He's just a freak. And he is, again, the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport, which is Tom Aspinall fights Pavlich. And takes that fight on 2 weeks' notice and becomes the interim champion and fucks his back up and can't train at all. But Aspinall, like that guy's, he's something special. He really is something special. He's a very unusual example because he's a heavyweight and he's a big guy, a really big guy, but he moves so fast. And his coach, Colin, I forget, it's from Cabal, this gym that he trains at in the UK, Colin Huron. He trained Darren Till. Colin, from the early days of the career, was like emphasizing his speed. And so his speed has always been like extraordinary compared to other heavyweights. Like he just fucking moves in. It's all like fast, explosive movements. So he's got natural speed, but then he's also got a lot of training to execute quickly. So when he moves in, he closes the gap. You can see like, fuck, he's fast for a big guy.
Joe Rogan and several voices from the MMA world recently shared their thoughts on how the upcoming showdown between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane might unfold. And their takes have fans fired up ahead of this highly anticipated heavyweight bout. Scheduled for October in Abu Dhabi, this clash has quickly become one of the most talked about matchups in recent UFC memory. One message stands out loud and clear when listening to Rogan and the wider MMA community. Tom Aspinall is being seen as the next big thing in the heavyweight division. His explosive speed, sharp boxing, slick ground transitions, and calm presence inside the octagon have many calling him the most well-rounded heavyweight fighter since the golden era of Cain Velasquez.
Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane. Chill, we've been screaming about this Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane for a long time. UFC 321, Tom minus 325, Gane plus 260. We finally got the fight, but the world doesn't seem to believe, Chael, that it's a close fight. And I don't really agree with that line. I think this fight is much closer. Tom Aspinall minus 325, Ciryl Gane plus 265.
Tom Aspinall is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. What's the first step for him?
You give him the one contender, Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is somebody that's a big heavyweight, that's very agile. I don't think Tom Aspinall gets rid of him right away like he has with other people. And I think that'll be a big indication if John Jones wants to come back and reclaim that bout once again.
I think you're absolutely right. Fight that makes sense. Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane. Let's make that happen. Ciryl Gane is, people forget how fantastic he is. A guy that can kind of float around the octagon, touch you, kick you, hit you with elbow. He's just a complete game. But man, Tom's movement, his boxing, speed, and his power, it's very, very difficult to doubt this man anymore.
Dana was in here and he says you're never too far away from a title shot, right? Just because your name value, the fights you put on and stuff like that. Is that something you would like to start climbing towards? Or are you happy just fighting these young up-and-comers and getting your a seemingly easy win?
Seemingly easy win? He was the king of the taxicab drivers in Brazil, man.
Wow.
But no, I don't want an easy fighting like that. I want, of course, I would like to do one more run at the title. That'd be good.
I think he's awesome, man. I think he's awesome. I think he should go on and have a wonderful career.
Do you think that he needs you?
No, I think he needs me. I think when you want something bad enough, and if you get it, it could be the worst thing that could ever happen to you.
Many fans highlight Tom Aspinall's dominant performances against fighters like Marcin Tybura and Sergey Pavlovich, pointing to his seamless blend of striking and grappling as something Ciryl Gane might struggle to handle. But on the other side of the argument, Gane's stand-up game is still elite. Though his grappling was exposed against John Jones, his movement, precision, and footwork at heavyweight remain unmatched. He fights like a middleweight and makes even top-tier opponents look out of place once he finds his rhythm.
He's one of the most beautiful strikers in the heavyweight division. He does wild stuff. You ever see how he throws that front kick from a side stance? And he throws it like a twisting kick. He stands like southpaw, right? And he bobs around like this. And he's totally sideways. And he twists his foot out. Like a twisting kick. He did a lot of them against Tai Tuivasa. He's so fast, man. He just does this weird thing where he stands sideways. And instead of the front kick going like this, like straight out, the front front kick goes like this. So
I know. Okay, I see what you're
twisting
saying.
it.
Yeah.
So his knee when he lands is almost like sideways. It's just so unusual for a heavyweight, that kind of movement. But he'll show it totally sideways.
It's a little trick.
Almost like a crescent kick or something like that.
Did you see the Derek Lewis Ciryl Gane fight? Ciryl Gane beat the shit out of him. Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170 pounder. He's bouncing like Wonder Boy. Completely changed the standard of heavyweight striking.
Can Ciryl Gane beat Tom Aspinall?
Ciryl Gane has a wrestling problem. Imavov uses a jab to blind Gane's vision, immediately changing levels and shooting a clean double leg, wrapping the knees to take him down. He rides Gane's back, sagging his weight and returning him to the mat every time he tries to stand. As Gane attempts to break the grip by pushing down on the hands and running laterally to create space, Imavov trips out the far leg, regaining dominant top position. When Gane tries to scramble up again, he's caught.
Supporters of Gane argue that Aspinall has yet to face someone with Cyryl's striking intelligence. If Gane can keep the fight standing, he has the potential to wear Tom down over time. That's the beauty of this matchup. It's being framed as a classic striker versus grappler, but both men are far more complete. Aspinall's striking is underrated and his hands are lightning fast, while Gane's takedown defense and cage control are often overlooked.
Incredible footwork.
That's already a sick fight card. Obviously, with Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane, Jalton Almeida and Volkov being the co-main event, if they are, just being on the fight card, they're going to be a backup fighter if anything happens to the main event. What's your thoughts on Volkov versus Gane? Sorry, Aspinall versus Gane.
I mean, I think it's the next best thing that we could get right now with John Jones not being able to do it and stepping away. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Tom's plan is going to be, because I think on the feet, they're pretty evenly matched. I think it could be fun on the feet, but I think there's definitely a huge advantage for Aspinall when it comes to the wrestling and the grappling. And I think he'd be silly to not at least attempt to make it a bit of a grappling match and try to get the ground and pound, take him down. And we'll see. If he can defend takedowns, it could be a lot of fun. But if not, I think Tom could make some quick work. But there's a lot of pressure on Tom, man. We were talking about it on the pre-show this weekend that, you didn't get the Jones fight. You waited all this time, and now you've got to fight somebody else. And it's always tough because you want to win that one to really prove to everybody that, yeah, you are that guy. You are the great. You are the best. You're the reason John didn't want to take this fight, blah, blah, blah. If you go and lose that one, you just...
Yeah. Well, we haven't had guests on for a little bit because I've just been all over the place and very, very busy and all the rest of it. So I'll reach out to Tom and see if we can get him on next week, and we'll start getting some guests on again. Tom isn't the type of guy that talks shit.
Michael Bisping, before Tom Aspinall fought Sergey Pavlovich, he said he gonna beat John Jones. He moved like Muhammad Ali. I said, Mike, this has to be a gimmick. He goes, Daniel, this fight is gonna last 2 minutes between him and Sergey. I said, bro, Sergey's knocked out 8 dudes in a row. Tom goes and knocks him out. Tom leaves to the back. Bisping's with him like he's part of the camp.
Just say you'll fight him. He refuses to say still that he'll fight Tom Aspinall because he was walking through an airport and they were saying, so will you fight Tom Aspinall? And he's like, I fight whoever the champion is. Well, that's Tom Aspinall. I said, yeah, but the fight's not going to happen for a year. So we'll see who the champion is at that time.
It's almost an unfair comparison, right? When you talk about pressure versus pressure, everybody's under tremendous pressure. But I guess when you kind of look at it from not just pressure, but potential legacy and career and what's on the line, I think it's hard to not go with Tom Aspinall because the heavyweight division is on the line. If Gane goes in and beats him, no disrespect to Gane, love the guy, the heavyweight division loses a lot of respect. Even if Tom goes out there and it's a close fight or he gets dropped and then has to come back or something, like the heavyweight division has so little respect right now, probably deservedly so, I think. With Gane getting his 3rd title shot in a couple years, like Tom has to show that he is the heavyweight division. He has to prove that to the world. Like I am, the heavyweight division's not just shit, but like I'm so good that the heavyweight division is shit, right? This is kind of his thing that he has to go out there and prove to the world. And if he goes out there and loses to Gane, the division already is not respected. That brings Tom down significantly, I think, right? And of course, the potential John Jones fight, which is whatever, who knows, right? Like how he beats Gane, assuming he does, may play a factor too. Like if it turns out to be a close fight, again, John's going to be on his phone with Twitter open watching this fight, like just waiting for Tom to fuck up and get dropped, get leg kicked and limping a little bit, or you know what I mean? John can't wait for that moment.
Whoever wins this fight won't just claim victory. They'll claim the narrative as the true heavyweight threat.
When Tom Aspinall got matched up against Ciryl Gane, he had a plan to get his revenge. Because although he pretended to pay his respect backstage, he later made a video exposing Ciryl ducking him.
Ciryl Gane was in attendance, won the fight. Matchmakers came to me and they said, do you want to fight Ciryl? I said, absolutely. A day later, I got the phone call, Ciryl Gane doesn't want to fight me.
Tom then went ahead and won another fight in the first round. But when he was in the front row of Cyryl's fight, Ciryl got asked about fighting him next, but turned it down in the Octagon.
I know a lot of people talk about Aspinall, but this doesn't make sense for me.
Then UFC came to London, and Tom was supposed to fight Ciryl, but he was busy filming his Netflix series that day, so he ended up fighting Curtis and won in the first round. And now, a year later, they've been matched up again.
This is the fourth time they've matched up together.
Who do you think is going to win this fight?
He's dismissed me on multiple occasions, and I'm not the first guy that he's dismissed. The reason that I got the Pavlovich fight was because Ciryl didn't want it. He then ducked Curtis Blades. I just don't like the way he does stuff professionally, because that's the opposite to what I do. I'm here to prove I'm the best, not duck out of fights with people.
It is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the pride of Wigan, the one and only Tommy Aspinall, Tommy Aspinall, na. Tommy Aspinall, Tommy, defending his undisputed gold, technically for the very first time against the pride of France, the French prince himself, Bon Gamin himself, the one and only Ciryl Gane. These two have been going back and forth for the better part of 2, maybe 3 years. Well, this was the fight that we all thought was going to happen in Tom's official first title defense, and so it is in fact going to happen. Tom wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. That was the sense that we got when he became undisputed champion. He didn't want to wait for New York. Let's be honest, the tax is a little better over there in Abu Dhabi compared to New York for an Englishman, for anyone, if we're being 100% honest. And so he wanted to be active. He wanted to fight in October. He wanted to fight in Abu Dhabi. It's closer to home, and so they obliged. And you'll recall a few weeks ago I said it's looking like Magomed and Alex, October 4th. It's looking like Tom versus Ciryl, October 25th. And it's looking like JDM versus Islam in New York. That would be the next pay-per-view. Now, that hasn't been officially announced. That hasn't been signed, sealed, and delivered. But at this point, I would be surprised, considering how the chips just fell earlier today. I would be surprised if it doesn't play out that way.
Do you think they're going to do Gane and Aspinall next? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I heard they're doing I don't know if I heard this from you or my homie Archie, but they're doing a card in France in August. I'm
that is happening. I think the card in
but that would be weird if I'm Tom. I'm like, yo, I'm not going to France to defend my belt. But maybe he does, because Tom seems like he just wants to fight. So I get that.
Yeah. Well, it's also shorter for Tom too, right? If he is fighting in Paris, right, as opposed to him fighting in the States. So maybe there's some incentive there. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I agree with you. He should be fighting in the
I think Ciryl Gane will beat Aspinall.
Serious?
Yeah, I think he'll do it. Firstly, I think Aspinall will go into the fight emotionally. He could be irritated by the fact that he's been a year out.
He doesn't see bro. He doesn't.
I think though he's gonna look at Gane and think, all right, Jones beat you in a round. I'm going to do worse to you. And I think he's not going to take Gane as seriously as you should have. And listen, but we don't know what Aspinall is like in that third, that fourth, that fifth. If you can survive that first and second. Aspinall's the favourite. But Gane is not a scrub on the feet. Gane's still technically kickboxing range. He's the better striker. Aspinall packs a punch. He's the heavier puncher. He's got the heavier hands. Boxing wise, he's probably a better boxer as well.
Speed, bro.
But Gane is quick, bro.
Yeah.
Gane is not slow. And Gane's kicks and his range and his striking defense is still elite. But
when
you can't land clean on Gane. You can't land clean on Gane.
You've also landed clean on Gane, bro.
Okay, no.
The winner of this bout won't just walk away with a win. They'll take control of the heavyweight storyline and become the division's new dominant figure.
fight for the heavyweight division. What happens after it? I liked the idea of Alex versus Tom right now. You want to know what another interesting fight is? Alex versus Ciryl. Alex is not going to beat Ankalaev, but we got Alex to light heavyweight in the first place by getting him beat. I believe Alex is in that spot right now. I'm bringing all of this to your attention because right now there's one thing for Jon Jones to do, and that is Tom Aspinall. Regardless of what happens between Ciryl and Tom, if Alex were to move up and beat them, you've now created an opportunity for Alex versus Jon, and that does work. Jon versus Tom is the fight, but Alex versus Jon is the next fight.
Imagine if Ciryl Gane beats Tom Aspinall. So it was announced that Tom's first title defense as the undisputed champion will be against former interim champ Ciryl Gane. And although me and many others are siding with Tom, we also can't forget that this is the heavyweight division and one shot could change it all. So imagine after everything that happened at heavyweight, Ciryl Gane captures the undisputed belt. But more importantly, how would that affect Jon Jones' legacy? Because you know that if Ciryl beats Tom, Jon will use MMA math to show everyone why he never had to fight Tom since he defeated Ciryl so easily. Even if Tom wins but has a tough time in doing it, Jon will still be at it. Personally, I don't think this changes the fact that Jon was ducking Tom as he saw him as a dangerous matchup.
But this clash isn't just about Tom and Ciryl. It's about what comes next for the heavyweight division. With Jon Jones on the sidelines and Francis Ngannou outboxing, the weight class feels wide open. If Aspinall wins, he becomes the clear heir to the throne, the man the UFC can build around. But if Gane wins, he silences critics who've accused him of avoiding tough matchups and proves he belongs among the elite. And there's another rising name starting to enter the picture, Magomed Ankalaev.
Best guard players in the sport, and now he's the UFC light heavyweight champion of the world against the most devastating champion we've seen in years. I mean, it's really an impressive performance by Ankalaev. He did everything he had to do. He pressured him on the feet. He showed that Pereira has a harder time fighting off the back foot, and he did what had to be done. You know, there was really only a couple moments where Pereira stunned him. There was a head kick. There was a couple other moments where he caught him with good shots, but mostly Ankalaev was controlling the distance, was putting the pressure on him, and we saw Poatan fight in what, you know, up till now is an uncharacteristic position. Backing up and avoiding shots. Yeah, his UFC debut, he got caught by Paul Craig.
Fans are beginning to wonder, if Ankalaev clears a few more contenders at light heavyweight, could he make the jump and shake up the heavyweight ranks?
Good old day when the biggest star in the sport could go out there and underperform a little bit and the judges would give a screw job to the less popular guy. I could tell you plenty of times throughout history where Alex Pierre would still be wearing that belt, which is to beat the champion. You really got to beat the champion. Screwed the other guy to protect the champion. That's all that's ever meant. I'm not sure that the Alex Pierre that I saw isn't the greatest Alex Pierre I've ever seen. Alex is supposed to be somebody that you can go take down and beat up, particularly if you got a wrestling background, particularly if you got a wrestling background from Dagestan. That's the story. He never went down once. Is Ankalaev a man of his word? Does he get credit? Because his words were that I'm going to stand up and I'm going to kickbox with him. I'm going to beat him in the stand-up. That's exactly what he did. I, as a Pierre fan, what I want is Pierre at heavyweight. And if in a month from now we come out with a poster and it's Tom Aspinall versus Alex Pierre, I think you guys are pretty excited. That's my guess.
I think that Ankalaev just had him guessing a lot with, I think, Pereira's level on the ground. I don't know what level he's at, but I think he's still a bit wary of getting taken down. He definitely defended the takedowns well, but me with an educated eye watching it, I don't think Ankalaev was really trying to take him down that much. I think he definitely tried a couple of times. I think he did 10 or 11 takedown attempts, but I would say only 2 or 3 of them he went full blast. I think the rest of the time he was trying to tire him out with the grappling, standing, like the cage grappling stuff. So I think Ankalaev had the perfect game plan. He didn't overcommit, tired him out. I can't believe people watched that fight and thought that Pereira won. It was just wild to me that how many uneducated fans are out there, and how many uneducated fans thought it was a boring fight as well. I thought it was an amazing fight. Both guys did good, and I think that Ankalaev...
Imagine a future where Aspinall or Gane is defending the belt against Ankalaev, a powerful wrestler with dangerous striking and a style that could completely change the division's dynamics. The stakes are massive. If Aspinall loses, does the hype train derail completely? Does it give Jon Jones a reason to retire without ever fighting him? And if Gane falls short, does that reinforce the idea that he's a gifted striker but not a complete fighter? And no matter who wins, the question remains, who's next?
For 2-3 months, years, days, weeks.
Or Arkansas.
Or Arkansas, brother.
Yeah, he's just go down there with Bryce.
Get up there with brass. If he's not just solely working on his grappling, then he's a fool. Yeah. And by the way, Tom's probably got bigger power. Tom might just knock him out on his feet as well. And I'm not saying that Ciryl can't be a force and Ciryl can't compete and Ciryl can't surprise us all, because he can. And Tom knows that. That's why he'll train accordingly. But the grappling is a big question mark.
Big question mark. And I think if we're talking about their styles too, I think the one thing that you can give Ciryl, other than maybe his unorthodox movement, the way he switches stances quite a bit, he kicks more. He uses a bit more tools, whereas Tom can kick. He can do it all, no doubt about it. He can knee and all of that. But I think that primarily the hands are where Tom really showcases himself and shines, whereas Ciryl, he can be a little tricky with kicks. He uses a lot of front kicks. He uses side kick. He'll attack like that lead knee and things like that. But again, those are also, if you do too much of that, those are opportunities for Aspinall to be able to get a hold of you and get you to the ground too. But I do think Tom's not going to be afraid to mix it up on the feet. I think he'll be smart about how he approaches the wrestling in that. I don't think he'll rush to it in any means. I think he's going to try to use his speed, use that boxing, try to hurt him, see if he can get him out of there with his hands first. And then I think if opportunity presents himself, he'll get a hold of the wrestling and try to go that route.
Well, he wasn't afraid to stand and trade with Sergey Pavlovich. You know what I mean? Who was knocking everybody out.
Could it be a returning John Jones, a surprise comeback, or a new contender like Jailton Almeida or Magomed Ankalaev stepping into the spotlight? This is why the MMA world is fired up. Joe Rogan sees Aspinall as a once-in-a-generation talent, but he also recognizes Gane's elite skill set. The fan base is split, emotions are running high, and the entire future of the heavyweight division could shift in just a few rounds. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane isn't just a fight, it's a battle for the future of the division.